Before Kratos became a calm and reasonable person, he wanted to take down an entire pantheon, and most importantly, get his revenge on Zeus. God of War 3 picks up directly after the ending of God of War 2, with Kratos teaming up with female Groot, aka Gaia, the mother of the Titans.
She kinda bad though.
Who shares the same goal as Kratos, which is to destroy all of Olympus. However, to get a better understanding of Kratos' anger toward the gods, we must go back to the beginning, when Kratos promised to serve Ares if he had saved his life in battle.
Ares! Destroy my enemies, and my life is yours.
Ares saves Kratos, but in return, he has to serve under him for the rest of his life. But everything changes when he tricks Kratos into slaughtering his own family to turn him into a heartless warrior. Filled with rage, Kratos swore to get revenge. In order to do so, he had to find and open Pandora's box, which gave him the power to kill a god, allowing him to finally strike down Ares. However, opening the box also let out evil spirits that infected the gods of Olympus. Zeus became scared and paranoid that Kratos may turn on him, so he betrays and kills him. But luckily, we were able to escape Hades. Kratos then hunts down the Sisters of Fate and defeats them to gain the power of time travel, which he uses to go back in time and save Gaia and the rest of the Titans. He brings them back to the current timeline to lead an assault on Olympus. That is how we get to where we are right now. Kratos, Gaia, and the Titans versus the gods. The fight begins, and we start taking out some enemies as we climb up Mount Olympus, until we run into Poseidon, the god of the sea. We fight for a bit before jumping onto Gaia's hand as she slams him into a mountain. Then he tries to pin her down to trap Kratos, which leads to a cool sequence where we turn into Spider-Man and swing around a few times to go free her up. Then she punches Poseidon, breaking his armor, which gives Kratos a chance to rip him out. Killing Poseidon, we see all of Greek get flooded with massive waves, destroying everything including citizens, which shows us the consequences of killing a god. After the fight, Kratos jumps back onto Gaia as she climbs up Mount Olympus, but before they can do anything, Zeus strikes them with a massive bolt of lightning, which causes them to fall down. Gaia manages to grab onto a ledge, but refuses to help Kratos, so we end up falling all the way to Hades, landing in the river Styx, where the souls jump Kratos and steal his power, forcing us to start from level 1 again. In Hades, we also encounter Athena, who tells us about the Flame of Olympus and to use that power to kill Zeus, which doesn't make any sense because she gave up her life to protect him, and now wants him gone.
That's suspicious.
But before leaving, she upgrades our weapons to the Blades of Exile to help us on our journey. Anyways, after doing a bit of exploring, we run into Hephaestus, the smith god.
I thought Zeus would have killed you by now.
I thought you would have escaped this cavern by now.
Hephaestus tells us more about the Flame of Olympus and warns Kratos to not touch it since it can kill you. Then we continue exploring the underworld until we smash into the statue of Hades to find him. He attempts to steal Kratos' soul, but fails. We go back and forth for a little bit before getting on top of him and viciously stabbing his chest. This angers Hades, so he tries to attack Kratos, but he dodges. Then they both throw their blades at the same time and get stuck, which leads to a tug of war. Eventually, Kratos overpowers him and uses the chains to slam Hades' head into the roof until he dies. Then we take his weapons, but it turns out Hades is still alive, so to finish him off for good, we take his soul. With Hades' weapons obtained, we can now swim in the river without getting attacked by souls. Shortly after, we meet back up with Hephaestus, where we learn a little bit about his backstory. Hephaestus explains that he was once the world's greatest craftsman, so good at his job that Zeus even let him marry Aphrodite.
She belongs to the streets.
But his life changed when Kratos killed Ares, which turned Zeus into a monster, that he ended up taking his daughter away from him for reasons that will be explained later on. Now he spends his time recreating her into statues, and is certain she is still out there somewhere. Next, we escape the underworld by going through this portal, where we encounter Helios. While he is fighting a titan, we shoot him out of the air, causing him to lose control and get caught, where he gets crushed and thrown across the map. So to reach him, we had to go through some enemies, who we took care of pretty easily. After the chaos ends, Kratos approaches Helios and asks him where he can find the Flame of Olympus. But instead of answering the question, Helios tries to blind us.
Feel the power of the sun!
Eventually, we get close enough and start stomping on his head until he decides to talk. He tells Kratos that he must step into the flames to receive its power. But we knew he was lying since Hephaestus told us not too long ago that the flame kills all who touch it. So Kratos realizes that Helios isn't gonna tell him anything. So he turns him into a mirror and uses his head as a flashlight. Next, we travel through the caverns and meet Pandora, the daughter of Hephaestus, who Zeus currently has locked up. She asks Kratos to help free her, but he refuses. Even though we don't save her, she's gonna be important in the story later on. Moving forward, we encounter our next boss, Hermes, but we don't fight him just yet. Instead, he simply mocks Kratos before running away.
Kratos, where are you off to today? Kill any family members lately? Oh, that's right. You're off to kill your father, Zeus.
You are a loser. Simple. Accept it. Move on.
Soon after, we do some climbing and reach Pandora's box, which we try to open, but Athena stops us. She explains that the flame of Olympus are protecting the box, and the only way to extinguish the fire is by using Pandora herself. Now Kratos must find and save her to obtain the power necessary to kill Zeus. But before we can do that, Hermes shows up again.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But this time we weren't gonna let him get away. So we chase him around as he mocks us. But sooner or later we finally catch up to him. And you can see the look on his face that he regrets doing this. Not only do we get rid of him, we also take his shoes after as well.
Boy! He got that shit on though.
A bit further on, we run into Hera, who's supposed to be Zeus's sister and also his wife.
Sweet home Alabama.
Shortly after, Hercules shows up, and he's a bit jealous of Kratos, arguing that Zeus favored him more, and that he deserved the title of God of War, which doesn't really make any sense to me since Zeus is literally trying to kill Kratos. But Hercules is too dumb to understand and rather fight us instead. The battle begins with us having to fight his army as Hercules watches, but once we get past him, he has no choice but to join the action. And the strategy is simple. We grab Hercules and slam him into some spikes. We do that a few times until his armor breaks. Then mid-fight, Hercules blinds us with a flashbang attack and starts talking to Hera as if he has already won the battle. So we humble him by taking his weapons and using them to beat him up as a desperate attempt to win. Hercules tries lifting the floor to throw Kratos off, but we manage to pull ourselves up. Then Kratos pins Hercules down, sealing his fate once and for all. After killing Hercules, we obtain probably one of the best weapons in the game.
It's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
A little bit later, we encounter Pandora. She tells us to find the labyrinth in order to get to her. To reach her, we need to cross a bridge which was broken, and the only person who may be able to fix it is Hephaestus. So we meet back up with him and ask him to help us. However, Hephaestus realizes that Kratos is trying to reach Pandora so that she can open the box, which will end up killing her in the process. He then goes on to talk about his backstory, but
We do not care.
the main things to know are that Hephaestus lied to Zeus about Pandora to protect her. When Zeus found out, he took her away, which explains why he was so cruel to Hephaestus and why he punished him. Now he blames Kratos for opening the box which ruined his life. Kratos tells him that he will stop at nothing to defeat Zeus. Seeing that we won't back down, Hephaestus agrees to help. He tells us to travel to the underworld to find a special item for him so that he can make us a weapon which will help us reach the labyrinth. While searching the underworld, Kratos comes face to face with the massive titan Kronos, and he begins to realize that he's been played. Hephaestus sent us there on purpose, hoping that the titan would kill us so that we can never find Pandora. The fight begins with him trying to crush us, but we survive and manage to blind him. Then we jump onto his hand where we have to fight off some enemies. While we're doing that, Kronos starts blowing his nasty breath on Kratos. Eventually he grabs us and decides to eat Kratos, but that was the beginning of his downfall, as Kratos activates Spartan Rage and slices his way out. To finish off the fight, we stab him with the Blade of Olympus. Once Kronos is defeated, we confront Hephaestus,
Kratos, you sent me to my death?
but he tries denying it by saying he knew we would survive.
Stop the cap.
Then we give him the item that he needed and Hephaestus crafts us a weapon. And he also betrays us. So we take care of him. After crossing the bridge, the game slows down for a little bit. There's a lot of puzzles we have to do before meeting Pandora. Along the way, we run into Hera again, fight a giant scorpion which I absolutely hated. We also meet this old man who's the father of Icarus who Kratos killed in God of War 2.
My boy, where is my boy? Your son is dead.
Eventually, we finally find Pandora. We were reaching the endgame at this point. The only thing left to do was for Pandora to open the box. However, for some reason, Kratos changes his mind and says he'll find another way. Despite only knowing her for a few hours, he becomes strangely protective.
That's suspicious.
Pandora doesn't listen to Kratos anyways and runs into Zeus, who picks her up and throws her away. This starts off the final battle, which is a long fight with 3 different phases. In the first phase, Kratos and Zeus trade blows until the whole arena starts to collapse. While Kratos is distracted, Pandora tries to run into the flames to open the box, but Kratos is able to catch her at the last second. Then Zeus wakes up and starts mocking Kratos, which angers him, so he charges at Zeus, but once he lets go of Pandora, a huge explosion occurs. We wake up and go open the box, and it was empty. Yeah, Pandora died for absolutely no reason.
Come on, man.
After rage baiting Kratos, Zeus runs away, so we chase after him, and this is where the second phase of the fight begins. We fight for a while before getting interrupted by Gaia, who is surprisingly still alive. She tries to crush us, but we jump off the building, landing inside of her. Kratos locates her heart and starts punching it. Then Zeus tries hitting us with a cheap shot, but we dodge. And the final round begins, but eventually Kratos stabs Zeus into Gaia's heart, which causes another explosion. Thinking he has finally won, Kratos goes to retrieve the Blade of Olympus from Zeus's body. However, his spirit suddenly emerges and attacks Kratos, trapping him in his own mind, where Kratos is forced to face his own self-doubt and hatred. To escape, he has to journey through his memory and find Pandora's box. When he opens it, he gains the power of hope. This power allows Kratos to finally forgive himself for his past mistakes. By embracing hope, Kratos becomes untouchable, and Zeus' spirit can no longer harm him, which forces it back into his body. Then Kratos finally defeats Zeus, ending his revenge once and for all. Just as the battle ends, Athena appears. She congratulates Kratos for defeating Zeus, and tells him that she was the one who originally hid the power of hope inside of Pandora's box, and demands that we give it back to her, so she can use it to rule the world. However, Kratos didn't trust her. He realized that Athena was just as greedy for power as Zeus was, so to stop her, he stabs himself with the Blade of Olympus, which let the power of hope escape from his body and fly out to all of humanity. And then he finally dies.